Insufferable. He called me insufferable. I've heard bitchy, bossy, ball-busting, condescending, aggressive, shrill. But not insufferable. What does it even mean to be insufferable? A quick Google search will tell you the word is reserved for that special kind of person who is absolutely unbearable. Physically intolerable, simply more than can be put up with. When he called me insufferable, my throat closed in. I looked around the table, stunned. Beside me sat a group of journalists, all 2 or 3 times my age. All men, but one. I had flown halfway across the world to this conference to impress them, to learn from them, to build relationships and maybe, just maybe, inch myself closer to a job in the newsroom. This was my introduction to the adult world networking. And when night came, wine, surely, was involved. So, there I sat, the youngest woman at the dinner table, holding my own, feeling myself, projecting confidence like Beyonce in her Single Ladies music video, or Michelle Obama at the DNC. But the arguments between me and him, they progressed. Coach K, the Iraq War, medieval literature, you name the subject. I may be biased, but he was seriously talking out of his ass. And I hate that. Always have. So I contested his points, and some of the journalists nodded in agreement. Raised a glass, even. But he didn't like that I challenged him. No. Not in front of those he so respected. We were like oil and water, fire and ice. Then he locked, loaded, and shot that word across the table like a backhanded joke or rhetorical question. You know you're absolutely insufferable. He looked around the table and laughed and said, I think you'd be better off as a VP at McKinsey than a journalist. Underneath his weathered beard, he grinned. He looked vaguely like Zach Galifianakis, but his jokes weren't landing. I read the meaning behind his words. VPs at McKinsey weren't morally up to par with freelance reporters like him. VPs at McKinsey didn't embed with war-torn communities, compile photo series of people in Kenya, or write investigative articles while traveling Eurasia. He was telling me that I wasn't fit for the travels and the trenches, that I wouldn't get my hands dirty in the service of others. Insufferable. Tell me something. When's the last time you heard someone call a man insufferable? Some of the journalists looked at me with pity, and others pretended they hadn't heard. One even sent me an apologetic email in the dead of night, something about how he, too, had a daughter. Just a thought, contingent on a lot of things. He wrote me at 2:33 a.m. Why did this small word have such a big impact? Why did everyone at the table notice? Maybe because they heard my silence. Maybe because they saw the fire in me burn out. I stepped away to the bathroom and looked in the mirror. My eyes brimmed with tears and my face was flushed. I felt pathetic, humiliated. His words were like a decree. That girl, she won't make it as a journalist. Take note, she's absolutely insufferable. I returned to the table, finished my wine, and sat silent for the rest of the night. Bitchy, bossy, ball-busting, condescending, aggressive, shrill. Insufferable? I wish I'd thrown back some calculated, cold, cutting response, the kind I usually have saved for someone like him. But I was caught off guard. It wasn't worth challenging an older, accomplished man. I didn't have the professional capital to defend myself, my dreams. Silence was my only response. the first time at that conference, I felt my age, my inexperience, my gender. When Duke awarded me a grant to attend that conference, I thought I'd earned my seat at the table. But I hadn't even earned my voice. Maybe you can relate. Perhaps you're thinking, me too. Maybe you have a story or you've heard a story. Maybe you think I'm overreacting. It was just a joke, right? But it's always just a joke. Just ask the woman sitting next to you, your friend, your neighbor, your colleague, because this isn't my story, is it? It's ours. It's the woman who's asked during an interview, what are you looking for in a man? It's the sole female engineer in a class of 100 who's told that engineering is a man's world anyway. It's a woman in finance who's asked if she's PMSing. It's an aspiring architect who's told to leave the industry behind because women won't ever make it architects. It's a businesswoman who asks a question and in turn is given a response that begins with, imagine you're buying a new purse. It's a PhD candidate who's told that she's too pretty to be a PhD. She'll get married, pregnant, and master out. It's the woman who isn't believed when she reports misconduct. These are Duke women. These are their stories, our stories. Insufferable. It's just a word. But any journalist will tell you that words have power. And as a woman pursuing a career in this industry, well, language is more relevant today than ever. Recently, the media industry has had to reckon with its own pervasive abuses. Reporters, anchors, and executives have been ousted for their misconduct, their perverted hunger to silence women and quiet voices. This industry shift has taught me that words are powerful, dangerous, beautiful. They are reflections of who we are and what others believe us to be, want us to be. They can expose our demons and reveal our strengths. They empower us. They allow us to scream out into the world, time is up. Because we women, we're conscious of words. We recognize their past, their present, and their future. Sometimes we fight. And sometimes we forget. We're human. We have to pick and choose our battles. This year has been full of words, full of stories, which leaves me wondering, what kind of world will I be entering upon graduation? What have I learned from the victims who have spoken up to defend and protect others from further abuses? What have I learned from my friends who have had to work endlessly here at Duke and in their careers to prove that their successes were earned and not given? Have they taught me to value my voice and its strength? Have they taught me to fight to have a seat at the table? Yes. Unequivocally yes. So to the man who called me insufferable, my voice, my words, they matter. Watch out. I'm a journalist. My words will soon be in print.